Lots of the traditional Zionist narrative of history, well not lots of it, but a significant part has been that lots of the land of Israel nowadays was previously unoccupied, and that Jews migrating to Palestine bought the unoccupied land, and that fits into the narrative that there was no ethnic cleansing of Palestine, there were no Palestinian people living there before. To what extent did the practice happen of unoccupied land in Palestine being bought by Jews?
Right. Well, Israeli historians are the first to admit that the Zionist movement succeeded in buying only 7% of the land in Palestine by 1948. What they wouldn't agree with me probably that because of that failure there was even a stronger impetus to ethnically cleanse Palestine, namely to take by force what you could not buy by money. But I don't think any serious Zionist historian claims that the land of Palestine was bought by 1948. They all would say there was an attempt to buy it, but it was not successful. The basic Zionist narrative is not about that. The basic Zionist narrative is that the United Nations offered a fair solution. We accepted it. The Palestinians did not accept it, and therefore they paid for their refusal. But I didn't see any serious Zionist narrative that really claims that. But it may appear in a more popular kind of versions of it.
I probably don't know or understand as much as a lot of other people here, but I think in the past I definitely have been a liberal Zionist, and I think even if it's gone in Israel, I think it's still a very mainstream position among British Jews.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that people normally point to is sort of like the background to before Israel was formed, of like the Holocaust and the pogroms and everything like that, and sort of like this idea of like, well, where else were we going to go? And I think, I don't really have an answer to that. And I just wondered.
Okay, no, I think you're... the question was that liberal Zionism is still a very potent idea among Jews in this country. And one of the main reasons is because they see the connection between what happened to the Jews in Europe and the kind of Israel as a security, offering a security in time travel. Did I present your position well? It was very painful for me to do this, but I did it nonetheless for you. First of all, I agree with you. I think liberal Zionism will take longer to die out among Jews in the world than inside Israel. They feel much more the pressure than Israelis do for upholding this impossible position. And God knows we've all seen liberal Zionists trying to explain to us the massacre in Gaza in the end of 2008, the beginning of 2009, or the attack on the Mavi Marmara. So we know how difficult it is. And if you don't take that position of defending the Israelis, you are in trouble. I think that two things have happened ever since. One is that you have a historical perspective now of what it means to be a Jew in England and what it means to be a Jew in Israel. And if you were an insurance company saying that to decide which of the two is a safeguard against anything bad happening to the Jews in the world, I'm not sure you will choose Israel. I'm not sure anymore. And many people feel it. Israel, instead of being an asset, became a burden for Jewish communities around the world. And this process will only deteriorate if I'm right in my analysis that the present Israeli political and military elite is even more brutal than all those who preceded it. The second thing that happened, I think we are much more aware now that we have a distance from the Holocaust of its universal meaning, of its impact on Jews around the world. And I think that the idea that you want to prevent another Holocaust, that you can only do that by having a racist nation state for the Jews in Palestine, has lost its attraction. And the idea that was put forward by anti-Zionists already in 1948, that the best way to prevent another Holocaust is to make sure that the world is a better place. Not that Palestine is a better place, that the world is a better place, not only for Jews, for any minority, I think is gaining a lot of support nowadays. It was very difficult to develop it, I think, after the Holocaust, and also because the Israelis manipulated very effectively the Holocaust to justify what Zionism did to the Palestinians.
I was first.
Yes, Haim, thank you once again, Ilan, for a really inspiring talk, and it's wonderful to see so many young people, and I think your accent on human rights and civil rights as being, you know, the key issue. How do we generate all this energy to actually changing what governments are doing? Because the governments, with their, you know, complete support of Israel, you know, the imperialist support and the close military and the arms industry that they have with Israel, they're the ones that actually can change things, you know, that can sanction Israel. And then you get the BDS movement, which Finkelstein has described as a cult. I don't know whether you've seen, you know, our friend Norman Finkelstein, who actually is a terrific, you know, sort of proponent of what's going on, but is slightly diverted in calling us a cult. How do you see that we could break this governmental, you know, control and support of Israel, which continues to use the Hasbara, in fact? I mean, it's incredible that with all that's coming out of Israel and Palestine and the terrible injustices, they're still sticking to the old mythology of 1948. I mean, it's quite incredible.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.